Good morning. May peace be upon you. This is a continuation of educational theory or learning theory lessons. And today's lesson is about the theories which are based on cognitivist orientation or approach or paradigm, whatever we want the word to use. The cognitivism. As you remember, in behaviorism, we have talked about the environment is very important and much importance is not given to the mind or the brain. But as the cognitive psychology developed, people started to come to know more and more about the mind, about the memory system, how it functions, how it works, how knowledge is organized. And that became the root of cognitivism. And later on, one of its further branches, some may call constructivism. But today we are focusing on what is cognitivism. It essentially argues the black box of the mind should be opened and understood. One should try to understand this mind. How it functions, what are the processes involved in it that helps in learning. The learner is viewed as the information processor because as far as learning is concerned, the most important thing is how the information is being processed in this mind. Because if we know how it is processed, then that we can use optimally in teaching and learning. Focuses on mental processes. And out of all the mental processes, the most important is the information processes which are involved in the brain, which results in putting the information into the memory and taking out in terms of need. Locus of control for learning is not the environment but internal to the learner. Although we cannot separate environment from a person, but the locus of control of learning is not the environment but it is the mind. Let us see, just to explain it further. The teacher provides knowledge, information, according to the principles derived from processes such as memory system, how knowledge is organized and stored, how memory functions. Therefore, if I am a good teacher, and in teaching I am using the principles which are derived from how knowledge or information is organized and stored and how memory functions, then what's going to happen is this information is understood and stored in an organized way in the student, and mind you, this is being done by the student. Information is being understood and stored in an organized way. And then that can be recalled easily, and that information shapes the beliefs and attitudes that results in awareness of the information, which results in the desired behavior. And in this case, the behavior of learning. Let's recall how memory functions. This is cognitive information processing, and we know this and everything. What is happening as you are listening to me? A sense input is coming into you. You are hearing me, sound. You are seeing me through video, sight. Obviously, the touch is missing in this point of time in other sensations. This information is going into your sensory memory, and it is being forgotten. A major portion of the information is going to you is being forgotten. because it is not what I am talking and speaking. Where you are sitting at this point of time, a lot of sense information is going into you. And one tends to forget it within 4 to 5 seconds. Some of this information goes into working memory because of the attention, which is the mental energy. As I am talking, if you are attentive and you are listening to me, that this attention is resulting in some information which is relevant into your working memory. And from this working memory, the information will go into the long-term memory, provided an opportunity is provided that this information is maintained in this working memory for some time by means of rehearsal. If it is not done, that information is also lost. Not in few seconds, but let us say in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, provided that information is not kept in the working memory by means of attention, by means of different methods like rehearsal, like me repeating the thing again and again to you. The memory which goes into the information which goes to long-term memory, although it stays in the long-term memory, but it is also forgotten by two processes, through interference and retrieval failure. So therefore, once you need some information, this information is retrieved, and based on that information, a behavior occurs, which in a case of a doctor or a medical student, which helps the patient. Now, talking about how the knowledge is organized. There are two things or two concepts which I'm going to talk about. These concepts are constructs. Constructs mean when I use the terms like advanced organizer or a schema, then you can't actually see them what it is in the brain by dissecting the brain. For example, when I say advanced organizer, otherwise, then you know this thing, that this telephone is an advanced organizer for you. This diary is an advanced organizer for you. Taking notes is an advanced organizer for you. Because the purpose of advanced organizer is to organize the info in such a way that at a time of need, it can be recalled or taken from it. It is an internal knowledge of structure, advanced organizer. It's a construct. Construct is something which is not tangible, which you can't see, you can't feel. But you can infer the construct from the behavior that arranges or orders information so that it can be found easily and quickly. Now, this thing has educational implication. So therefore, if a teacher is teaching in such a way that is helping the student to organize the information into his brain in an orderly manner, then it will be useful for the student to recover it. Similarly, if student has developed those skills by which he can organize the information which is being provided to him, then he can recall it much better. One way is, if you want to see organization which can help the student, is the concept map. Concept map is a brilliant way of organizing information into the brain. Another way is connect new information with the old one. Making connections between the information is a way of organizing, and concept map is based on this. Second is schema. It is again a mental framework used to organize knowledge. It is an internal knowledge structure that can be combined, extended, or altered to accommodate new information. Every person has a schema of everything. For example, if I ask you, how does a gardener plants? The majority of you will come up with the idea, okay, there is an earth, he comes, he plows the earth, then he puts the seed, then he puts fertilizer, and it grows. Now that is a schema of a gardener works. Similarly, everybody's a schema. If I say, what is a square? It's a square. A majority of people will know because of the experience of this thing. Such schemas have been developed in the brain. Educational implication is, if you are teaching someone or someone is learning, one should try to bring into his awareness what the existing schema is in the mind. And then if teaching is done in such a way that resembles that schema, it will result in a copy of that schema, an adapted one, little different from that, but that helps in organization. Feedback is very important to correct an schema. So therefore, educational implication of how memory is organized and stored are many. Just to give example, activate prior knowledge, repeat important information, periodic review of old concepts, show logical sequence of concepts, move from simple to complex tasks, mnemonics. These are few of the principles or few of the educational implications which have been derived from cognitivism because it focuses on the processes, its locus is internal, mind, memory system. Now this is the schema of the gardener I was talking. Plows, put in seeds, fertilizers, a tree is formed. Now if I want to teach, what is the way to teach? Then I might say, okay, let's take a metaphor of a gardener. So what you do is like a gardener, you first activate prior knowledge. Then you add new information as the seed is put. Then link with activity, link it with emotion. And once you do that, and you're talking of a medical graduate, you will let a learner helping solving problem. Now there are 3 steps. Activating prior knowledge, adding new information, linking with activity, linking with emotion, linking with patient, linking with something else. 3 steps. If one has to memorize these 3 steps and get a concept of that becomes difficult, but if you correlate it with the schema of the gardener, then this schema can be modified and one never forgets. This is an example of a concept map. These are concepts. These are concepts. Characteristics of learner, characteristic of teacher, learning context, perception of students, teacher perceptions, approaches of teacher, approaches of student, outcome of what they learn. These are the links being developed between these concepts. Therefore, this is a concept map, and if someone can visualize this concept map, then he can understand the whole picture, how they are related with each other. It's just an example of a concept map. So therefore, if you see, So teacher is concerned, teacher transmits knowledge to the learner, keeping in view how the memory system works, how memory is organized, how information is organized. Therefore, strong guidance and instruction are essential, especially from the novice. Because of how the memory system works, because how the information is organized. Students have not developed the skills to use the memory system effectively. The students has not developed the skills to organize the information which they are receiving into their brain. Therefore, in a novice, strong guidance and instruction are essential. But it is student's responsibility to master it. Since the teacher is teaching, keeping these things in mind, students are understanding. And they like understanding things. Somehow or the other, they become addicted to this pattern. So negative implication is it promotes dependence on the teachers. Okay, now we are coming to the examples of cognitive learning theories. By giving these examples, you will understand more what I have taught. So let's talk about cognitive load theory. It builds upon the widely accepted model of human information processing, as shown in figure which was previously. This was published by Richard Atkinson and Richard Schiff in 1968. Cognitive load theory was developed by John Schroeder, amazing man. Cognitive load relates to the amount of information that working memory can hold at one time. Schroeder said that since working memory has a limited capacity, instruction method should avoid overloading it. Remember that diagram? Sensory memory few seconds, working memory seconds, not even many minutes. So therefore, whatever instruction is being given, the cognitive load which is given to the student, that has to be so much that the students just not get overloaded with the information which is given to him. Working memory relies on long-term memory content. Obviously, when I am talking to you of cognitivism, then at the same time, what information you have got in your long-term memory related to this subject, related to this topic, you are also retrieving it as I am speaking into the working bench of the memory, so you can understand and make meanings of things. Working memory is limited capacity. Teachers can limit learning by increasing mental load, particularly novices. So therefore, if the content in the lesson is not appropriate, it's a lot. If too much load is given, if a load is given by the teacher too fast, if the time is not given to the students to think during that process, then students learn less. Another theory of learning is Shawns' theory of reflection in action and reflection on action. Shawns' theory is that there are two types of reflection, one during and one after an activity or event. Schon in 1995 presented the concept of reflection in action and reflection on action. Reflection is thinking. Thinking of what one is doing. Like, there are two ways I can think. As I am teaching you, at this moment, I am constantly thinking what I am teaching, how I am teaching, and since I am actually thinking, I am adjusting myself accordingly. This is reflection in action. Let us say, in the evening, if I sit back and I reflect, how was I teaching? How can I improve? That would be reflection on action. Just giving you examples. Let us say, reflection action, you are in a lecture and keep being distracted by thinking about what to have for lunch. You want to get the most from the lecture, so need to find a way to help your focus. You decide to start making some notes of the key points. This is an example of reflection in action. What about reflection in action? Same example. You notice that sometimes after a lecture you can't remember what was covered. You find out about the lecture topic in advance and write down some questions you want answered. You make notes during the lecture to help you focus. You arrange to go for a coffee after the lecture and talk with your peers about what was presented to help you understand and form your own opinions. You file your lecture notes and any handouts. So reflection on action is not done on the action which you are doing at that moment. So cognitivism mind is important. Similarly, constructivism, which is another paradigm orientation, in fact, one can say it's an offshoot of cognitivism, or it has developed from cognitivism, because both constructivism and cognitivism has common ground, that is the brain. That I am going to discuss in next lesson. Have a good day. Have happy moments.